This is one of my favorite things that can be on a dopamine menu. Still in my whip pile, staring back at me. I'm thinking about whether I'm using the right size needles. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lily. If you're new here, I'm the person behind Crafts and Crumbs, and if you're not new here, thanks so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. So now that we finished the Friday slipover, we can move on to our next project. So I'm really excited for this video. So the first and main project that I'm going to be working on is, of course, a knitting project. So my wool warehouse package is finally arrived, so I'm really excited to go pick it up soon, and then I can start organizing all the yarn and start working on the project that I'm going to be knitting. So I'm going to be knitting the Beppu blouse by Aegyo Knits. I've had it on my list for a while. I love how classic it is. It's so polished and finished with like a really interesting touch. I think the v-neck is going to be really pretty, and I think it's definitely a knit that I'll be able to wear for every day and dress it up, dress it down. I think that's something that's really fun about it. So I'll talk about that a little bit later as well once we get the yarn. But in general, the pattern is a top-down pattern with a drop shoulder design. There are some short rows on the back after the neck is worked to work on the neckline as well as the v-neck details, but other than that, it's a really easy breezy stockinette working in the round, ribbing on the bottom, which I'm really excited about after the Marielle blouse. And actually after the Friday slipover, I kind of want something easier, even though the Friday slipover was pretty easy, but still doing the broken rib, you do have to think a little bit here and there, so it's really nice to just be able to do a stockinette project, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I also have another really exciting announcement, and that is that I finished the Assassin's Blade, which is the prequel to Throne of Glass, and I'm about to start Throne of Glass, and I am very excited. I have looked for this copy of the book for days. I think it's been a week or a week and a bit since I finished the Assassin's Blade, and I could not for the life of me find this copy of the book. I don't know why. I think they were waiting to get a new shipment order, but I looked in a bunch of different bookstores and they did not have it. They had other books in the series, but they didn't have this one. But we found, honestly, I think the last one in like the whole city or even a wider range, but I'm really glad that I got it. So we're going to be starting the Throne of Glass. I loved reading the Assassin's Blade. It did take a little bit to get into it just because it's 5 novellas, so it's not like one continuous story, and it kind of throws you into the world when you don't really know much about it ahead of time. So I think that's a good thing and a bad thing. I know that people can read the Throne of Glass series in lots of different orders. I decided to do it by chronological order because I trust Sarah J. Maas, and if she wanted it to be a prequel, then I will read it as a prequel. So that's what I did, and I'm glad that I did. I think it'll give me a lot of context later on and give me a really good background into understanding the characters a bit more. So I'm really excited to start that. So we have a pretty good week ahead of us. We have a yarn haul in this video. We're going to start Throne of Glass. We're going to start my new project. It's a week of starting a lot of new projects. Last week was a week of finishing a lot of projects, and now I'm really excited to turn over a new page and start lots of new projects together. So that's going to be really fun. Hopefully I'll also do a bunch of baking, maybe some cooking, and you guys can come along with. Also, now that spring is around the corner, I want to get back into sewing. I am slightly/very intimidated to get back into sewing. I'm not gonna lie. I have a bunch of patterns. I have a bunch of fabric from last summer that I have left over, but I just started to learn last summer, and I did make a few dresses and a few skirts that actually turned out pretty cute. I would say that they're wearable. I'd wear them in public, but they're not the best, and that's okay. But I would definitely want to get better because I really want to make my own clothes more. I really want to learn how to make pants and shorts and really pretty blouses and tops and lots of dresses. I'm very much a skirt and dress kind of girl, so I'm really excited to make a bunch of clothes. But that video will definitely be coming, and we will figure it out together because I don't want to be intimidated by my sewing machine that's just sitting in the corner staring back at me. So we will definitely get to that at some point. As always, make sure that you're subscribed and comment down below what you're working on while you're watching this video. If you have any questions about the Friday slipover from last week's video or about any of the yarns or projects that I'm talking about during the video, they'll all be linked in the description box below if you want to check them out. I order all of my yarns from Wool Warehouse and I absolutely love them. It's not sponsored or anything. I just really love their yarns. They're good quality, the shipping's really great, and it's a really low shipping cost, which I really appreciate. So without further ado, let's go pick up the yarn, do a yarn haul, and start our week together. All right, friends, the day has arrived. My Wool Warehouse package has arrived and I am very excited to open it. This is one of my favorite things that can be on a dopamine menu, just getting a package, and not just any package, because I'm not a massive online orderer. I like to try on my clothes ahead of time, but I do love ordering yarn. And when yarn arrives, it means that it's gonna be a good day. Anyone who knows me knows that I love dogs, and my two favorite kinds of dogs are corgis. I really want a corgi, but I really want to adopt a dog, and usually corgis you have to buy. That's a whole other subject. And chocolate brown Labradors. And whenever I see one out in the wild on the streets, I always tell my boyfriend that it's going to be a good day. So I'm adding to that, when I get a yarn order, that it means that it's going to be a good day. And this is definitely going to be a good day because I was really excited for this order. So I thought we could open it up together and see what the yarn is, what it looks like, and what I'm planning on doing with it. So without further ado, let's open the package. I'm so excited. So I did order a bunch of yarn for two main projects that I had in mind, for the Woodlark sweater and the Bay Pew, I think it's called, blouse. So I'll give close-up shots of the yarn as well, but let's see what we got here. So the first yarn that I ordered, I actually only ordered one ball of this yarn. This is the Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk in the color Pearl. I only was missing one because I had so much left from my Marielle blouse that I wanted to hold this together with the other yarn that I'm planning on using for the Woodlark sweater. So I was only missing one, so I got that one, which is great. As for the yarn for my Bepu blouse, I feel like I'm botching the name of that, but it's in Korean and I don't know Korean, so please forgive me. I wanted to make it in a really charcoaly dark gray kind of color. In the pattern photos, she knit it with this light kind of camel cream color, which I also really liked, but I ended up deciding to go with a charcoaly kind of gray because I don't really have something like that in my wardrobe. So I got, I think, 7 balls of the Drops Nord in the color number 6, which is their dark gray color. This is really nice. It feels really soft. It's 45% alpaca, 30% polyamide, and 25% wool. I'm not totally sure what I think about this combination. Polyamide is a synthetic, which I don't like as much, but it does give it durability. I don't know how I feel with the itch factor. I'm not a really sensitive person, but I do like my sweaters and stuff to be soft. I feel like this is nice and held together with the kid silk. I think it'll be fine. And I also got to hold with it, I got Drops Kid Silk, but this is my first time using kid silk. I've always used Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk, which is much thicker, I've learned. So now I'll be using the Drops Kid Silk. This is in the color number 2, which I think is just black. I didn't find an exact color match, but I am hoping that the two colors will mold together and that the Drops Kid Silk will give it more of a darker shade, but that the dark gray of the Drops Nord will give it kind of more deep kind of tone to it. So I'm excited to see about that. I think I got 9 balls of these. I don't exactly remember because I placed this order a while ago, so I don't remember everything. So the Drops Kid Silk is 75% mohair, 25% silk. So it has no alpaca in it. It's different than the brushed alpaca silk. It feels different too. I've never actually used any kind of mohair that isn't Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk. I haven't wanted to go out of my comfort zone, but this is what this is for, to try new things. So it feels really interesting, and I think the two colors look really good together, so I'm really excited to try that. And other than that, I have to dig around to get to the other colored yarn. So that was all the yarn that I got for the Bepu blouse, which is the Drops Nord and the Drops Kid Silk. And then for my Woodlark sweater, she also did it in this light creamy color that I really liked, but I did decide also to go for a gray. I promise I don't have a lot of gray things in my wardrobe. It's just now that I've started playing around with more of the gray and the darker grays. So I got Drops Flora, which I've used before and I love. I made my Friday slipover in leftover Drops Flora that I had, so I already know that I really love the yarn. And I got it in the shade number 4, which I believe is the medium gray. I was really debating between the different kinds of gray, but I'm actually really pleased with it. It looks really nice. I love the different kind of textures that it has. I think that's really pretty. And I'm holding it together with the Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk in the color Pearl. Also, they didn't have an exact color match, but again, I kind of like that. I think it's fun. It gives it a lot of depth and a lot of interesting kind of colors together. So I'm actually really excited to see how these colors will look together. So I got also, I think, 7 balls of the Drops Flora, but it'll all be in my description box below if you're interested in looking at Wool Warehouse. Love them. So that is what I ordered from my yarn haul, and the rest of this bag is just all of the yarn for all the sweaters. So I'm super excited to start swatching and working on those projects, so definitely stay tuned for that. So welcome to my knitting oasis. This is where I store all of my yarns and all of my swatches and all of my knitting stuff. I'll show you guys how I organize organize everything. I have so much drops brushed alpaca silk, and I need to organize all of my mohairs and all of my yarns. So let's organize them together so we can have a clear slate, an organized mind, and I can start working on my next project. Definitely not perfect. I am running out of room. There are other things in these drawers, but I may have to take over some of them for more of my yarn. But it's looking so much better. I feel so much more organized. So I have all of my mohairs here. I have a bunch of leftover ones, which I have to figure out how to use, and I still have the drops brushed alpaca silk from the Somme cardigan that I was planning on using in the light blue. So I'd love recommendations and ideas for a mohair project, only 2 strands held together, something like that. Or if you have any kinds of ideas, I'd love to hear them for what to do with a big project's worth of mohair. I also still somehow have 4 balls of the drops brushed alpaca silk left over from my Friday slipover, which that was a leftover project. So I have so much yarn from that. I don't know how I was so off count when I ordered, but that's okay. We'll figure out something to do with that brown. And I still have some extra pinks and some extra beiges. And I have the pearl gray, which I had a lot of extra from my Marielle blouse, as well as the one added one that I ordered, and the Drops Kid silk that I ordered for the Bepu blouse. And over here I have all of my non-mohair yarns, as well as some of the extra drops brushed of the blue because there wasn't room. So I have the Drops Nord, and I put this one on top because I'm planning on starting with the Bepu blouse, so I wanted that more reachable. And underneath I have the lighter gray that I'm planning on using for the Woodlark sweater. I also have 2.5 extra balls of the Knitting for Olive Merino in the shade Limestone from my Marielle blouse. So I'm not totally sure what I want to do with that yet, but that's okay. I'm sure that I'll be able to figure something out with the Knitting for Olive. And I also have a ton of Drops Merino extra fine that I used in one of my earlier cardigans, which I have to figure out what to do with that. That is actually a rabbit hole because I started a different sweater and it's still in my whip pile staring back at me for over a year. It's quite embarrassing. I don't really want to talk about it, but it's there staring back at me. At some point I'll do something with it. So I have extra yarn from that. And I have one singular ball left of Drops Flora from the Friday slipover as well. So I'm definitely an overbuyer, but that's because I always feel like it takes a long time to ship because it's coming from the UK and I don't want to mess with dye lots, and I hate the idea of playing yarn chicken. It gives me anxiety, so I much prefer to pay an extra €2 for one extra ball and have extras than not have enough and then have to place a whole order just for one. So even though I have a lot of extras, I'll still take that over not having enough. So this is what my yarn stash is looking like, and I'm super happy with it. wanted to give you guys a little update. I am currently working on the back panel. I only have a few more centimeters to go before I start doing the increases for the armholes, and then I'll be done with the back panel already. So I started this like 2 days ago, and I'm really flying by, which I'm really excited about. I am so happy with how the yarn is turning out. I absolutely love the combination of yarns. It's exactly how I envisioned it. And isn't that just so satisfying when you envision yarns and you order it online and you hope for the best, and then they arrive and the combination of the two of them looks exactly how you imagined it? I find it very satisfying. So I'm really excited about the yarn. I'll show you guys a little bit of the progress that I've been making so far. I love how the dark gray and the black mix together and create this like charcoal darker gray, and there are specks of black in it and specks of white from the wool. I think it's so pretty, and I'm so excited to see how it turns out and how it keeps building. I will say I wouldn't say concerned, but I am thinking about whether I'm using the right size needles. So I'm using 4mm needles, which is what the pattern suggests, and I'm using the correct yarn weights for the project. I also was very close to gauge, so I was like 10.5 centimeters, which in my book counts as being very close. So I didn't even try sizing down, and I do like how the fabric is looking together. It has a really nice and neat kind of look to it. I'm also really pleased with my tension. I think all the stitches look exactly the same, which is really satisfying. But I am just a little bit worried or thinking about if I should have tried it in a smaller needle size. I'm wondering if it's a little too flowy, and I'm imagining it on a full garment, and I'm wondering if it'll be a little too flowy and a little too loose as a full garment. But I'm leaning towards to just keep going with the 4mm needles because it is what the pattern suggests. I did pretty much hit gauge. I am using the right yarn weight, and I think it does look really good. It's also just a little thin. I think sometimes I at least look at the pictures online and on Ravelry of the pattern, and it looks so thick and luscious and really nice. But then when you see the yarns that people are using, they are very thin. So once it comes together, it does thicken up a bit. And also I feel like when you block it, that also makes a big difference. So I've just been thinking about it and mulling it over, but I do think I'm going to keep going with the 4mm needles and the way that it is now because it looks really good. And if it's a little flowier, then I don't know, I guess that's the way that it'll be, and that's okay. I do really want this project to be really good, so I don't know. I can't seem to decide right now. It does look really good. I think I'm just being too nitpicky, so I think we're just gonna leave it for now. In other news, it is now the weekend, and I'm very excited. I have really been looking forward to the weekend to just rest and chill and reset. So I am gonna go out and get some flowers and pastries for the weekend, which I always love to do. So come along with me and let's see what flowers we find today. Shy, my very sweet boyfriend, wanted to celebrate me reaching 100 subscribers, so he wanted to make me a cake, one of my favorite cakes, which is a biscuit cheesecake. So he made it for me, and it's now ready, and I'm really excited to try it, so let's see how it turned out. Okay, so this is what the cake looks like with all the layers and the cheese, and he also put chocolate on the top, and it looks so good. I'm so excited to try it. Taste test. Oh my god, you have to try some. Oh my god, it's so good. I'm gonna eat the whole thing. Okay, so I'm here for updates on all of the projects. So as far as the Bepiu blouse, I really am making good progress. I think I'm going pretty quickly. Today, I believe, is the 21st, so I've been working on it for 3 days, and I'm already done with the first shoulder panel, which I think is pretty good progress. It's just going really quickly. It's so nice to just work flat or work a stockinette and just kind of go quickly on all of these parts. I'm really excited to get into the round and see what it's going to look like, and then I can just work knit the whole way down until I get to the ribbing. I'm also really excited to see how the v-neck is going to work up. I have made a few things in v-neck before, but not a lot, so I'm really excited for this experience and for the whole collar. I think it's going to look really, really pretty, so I'm really excited to see how that's going to turn out. So I believe that I'll be joining in the round very soon, and then we can just breeze by this project. It's very quickly becoming my obsession project, my security blanket. I want to take it everywhere with me and just work on it on car rides and sitting in a cafe and wherever I go, because it's just so easy, and it's very refreshing when a project is still small and you can take it places, because sweater projects tend to become very, very large at some point and you just kind of can't take them anywhere. They just stay on the couch and are waiting for you to knit on them only on the couch. The pattern is super, super clear so far. It's only 7 pages, which I find very satisfying. Sometimes when there are patterns that are like 15, 20 pages, I find that a little intimidating, even though they have charts and things like that, and this is just stockinette, so there isn't that much to say, but it's very, very clear. This is the first time I'm making one of her patterns, and I actually have another pattern of hers that I want to make, and I love her designs in general, so I'm really excited that I like the way that she writes her patterns so that I can make more of her patterns in the future. Regarding Throne of Glass, I am about 150 pages in, and I started also like 2 or 3 days ago, and I'm really, really liking it. I fear that this is going to be another obsession series like Akotar, and I couldn't be happier about it. I'm definitely starting to get more into the characters and seeing a bit more of the world building, and it's also really interesting how it really is a multi-universe, and you can really see how reading one series can really help you better understand the second series, and I'm sure that that'll be the same way when I read Crescent City. So I'm really excited to keep reading, and obviously it's a long series, so I definitely have a ways to go, but I'm really enjoying it so far, and I'm so excited to keep reading it. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below what you're working on while you're watching the video, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss next week's video, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!